What is up, everybody? It's your boy DFS Up North from DFS Army, and we are back with a Thrive Fantasy Focus podcast talking about week one. And in particular, we're talking about the game of the week. In my opinion, we've got the Los Angeles Rams and the Buffalo Bills. I got you covered with all the Thrive contests, talking about Showdown. We're going to talk a little bit about the free contests as well. We got all that and more here on the Thrive Fantasy Prop Playbook. Again, what up, everybody? It's your boy DFS Up North here from DFS Army, and we are talking about one of my favorite sites, Thrive Fantasy. What I love about Thrive Fantasy is I love props, man. I love props. Props are a big thing. We've seen the proliferation in sports betting, but not everybody's allowed to sports bet. You're from a state like me, Minnesota. Get your shit together, people. Let's go. If you're from a state like me where you are not allowed to bet on fantasy sport or bet on sports, you have the option to play on sites like Thrive Fantasy. And Thrive has house props. They got contests, and that's what we are talking about today is the contest. And in particular, we are going to be talking about the game of the week. The first game here, we are talking about the Rams and the Bills. All right. So if you're on Thrive Fantasy, you can scroll through. They got all sorts of contests. They got, they're guaranteed week one, $50,000 the first prize pool. Only 623,000 entrants in it. We got the Sunday free roll, baby, right? It is free to enter. You get 2 entries in that too. So you can kind of hedge against yourself. But like I said, we are talking about this contest right here, the $25 NFL Thursday night football, $50,000 guarantee with the defending Super Bowl champs, LA Rams versus the Buffalo Bills. So how Thrive Fantasy works, if you guys are not aware, is that you pick, in this case, you're going to pick 10 props out of these 20. All right. And all you are going to do is pick over or under. So for example, Josh Allen, 267.5 passing yards. You're going to pick the over, or you're going to take the under here, right? And then each one is assigned a point value, right? So this one's 95 to 105. That means that we're probably talking about, that's a 50-50 chance, right? 100 is going to be exactly 50-50. But as things get, more or less likely, that number is going to change. So, right, if Josh Allen gets over 25.5 completions, 110 points. That means that it is less likely to happen than the under, right? You go to rush TDs, Devin Singletary, 120 to 80. There's a big one here. If I scroll down, Matthew Stafford. If Stafford throws 4.5 total pass TDs and interceptions combined, if he does that, you get 135 points, right? It's pretty unlikely for that to happen. So the under is 65. So anyways, you are going to build a lineup per se, with 10 of these props, either the over or the under, and you are going to accumulate points. All right. And you are going to accumulate those points to try to win over here in the prize payouts, right? Oops, I went back here on my mouse. So like I said, we are looking at $15,000 to first, $7,500 to second, third, $5,000, all the way down to last place, $35, right? So basically 1.5xing your money at the bottom. All right. So let's talk about the game, right? So what we're going to do here is I'm going to talk about the game. I'm going to show you guys, we're going to go through prop by prop, talk about each of these props, or most of these props anyways. And I'm going to show you what we can do for you at DFS Army, our research station, our projections, things like that, that'll help you crush at Thrive Fantasy. We've had a ton of success here over the years, and I am excited to be partnering up with them again, to help you guys out and make these videos. And since we are talking about that, if you look at the scroll on the bottom, right, you can see that first time depositors. So if you've never played on Thrive Fantasy before, and I know a lot of people that don't, and it's crazy because like we are printing money over there. But if you've never played here before and you make a deposit, they will match you up to $200, which is awesome. All right. That is a fantastic deal. And if you deposit over $100, you're going to get 2 free contests or 2 free tickets to this main contest for week one. All right. $250,000 prize pool. $250,000 prize pool. This is for the main slate. Like I said, we're going to go through. I'm going to scroll through here. I'm going to tell you my one favorite at the end of this episode, my one favorite prop, but 50 Genos. 50 Genos to first place. And maybe you're thinking, hey, we see all this. There's going to be ties. And like I tell you, I've been playing here for years. very few times do I see that guys come in at the top and are tied. All right. So it is a great deal. You deposit $100, you get 2 free tickets. That's $50 free on top of the match, right? So what a great deal. What a great deal. Oh, there's our research station. All right, but we got to go back. We got to talk about this game. So Buffalo and Los Angeles Rams, right? Your 2002 Super Bowl champs. You can see that 23-20 over there. They took down Joey B and the Bengals. If we get in here, we are talking about, this is Thursday night, right? We know that the Super Bowl champ always gets to play. 52.5 point total. But the Rams are coming in here as the dogs. All right. So the Rams are the dogs. Rams, I mean, really neither of these teams. These teams were 2 of the top dogs last year. The Bills are minus 135 on the money line, meaning that they're slight favorites here. No real big changes in terms of personnel, right? The Rams got rid of Robert Woods, or didn't get rid of Robert Woods, but they signed Allen Robinson, no Odell Beckham Jr. But that opens things up for guys like Ben Jefferson and Ben Skoranek and a few others. Otherwise, I mean, mostly the same. Cam Akers is trending towards playing. We'll talk about his injury situation here in a minute. But mostly the same on the Rams side. Both are going to be missing, offensive coordinator. So Brian Daboll went to the Giants, who I'm beyond that. I'm really high on the Giants this year. Maybe talk me out of it, but I love Daniel Jones in week 1. Story for another day. And then Kevin O'Connell is repping my boys, Minnesota. What's up? He has become the Vikings head coach. So, but we know that with head coaches like both of these two teams have, that it's more about the system that they're in, not necessarily the coach and the play calling. So I really don't expect much to change here. What I do think is interesting, as we kind of look at the props here, is that none of these guys have really played. For the most part, these guys have sat out most of preseason. The starters for the Rams, I don't think played at all. I'm not entirely positive, but I can't imagine that many of the guys here on the Buffalo sideline have played much either, at least together, right? So that can, we do tend to see these games sort of start a little bit slow. Maybe a couple of 3 and outs to start, right? Where people aren't just clicking right away. So for me, when I look at this as an entire slate for the Thursday night football, I think that the under makes quite a bit of sense on a lot of these, and you're going to see that reflected in my picks. All right. So we are talking about, you got to pick 10 of these. Right? There's 20 of them. You only have to pick 10, and you got to pick one side or the other. All right. And as you can see, all the main guys are in play here. A-Rob, Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Bass is maybe the only random thrown in there at 5.5 total points. But let's show you guys what I'm talking about with what we can do for you at DFS Army, right? So Josh Allen, 267.5 total pass yards, over 95 points, under 105 points. So if I scroll over here to the NFL research station, this is a tool that we have for our users, our VIPs at DFS Army. I went through here and I clicked on the Thursday slate, so we can see that I'm just looking at Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. Right away, what jumps out at me is that Allen looks like the number 1 ranked player in terms of fantasy production for the entire week. That goes all the way through Monday night. But what we are looking for here in particular is our week projections. All right. And these are updated as we go through the week. All right. So our week projections, we got projecting passing yards for Allen at 270.4. All right. While we're here, let's just take a look at Stafford, because I know that that's coming. 284.5 for Stafford. And we've got projected passing TDs at 1.97 for Allen, 1.92. The rush yards for Allen at 36. You can look at his 2021 stats. He averaged about 259 yards a game. Average, 24 completions, which is going to be important here in a second. We also have what the total opposing defense allowed to QBs. And, both these defenses, we talk a lot about the offenses in these situations, or these two teams, but both these defenses are pretty stout. And then what we have is an offensive defensive average. So pass yards per game on average, if we took what Josh Allen did and what the Rams gave up last year, we're looking at like 240.5. So this to me screams the under, right? So I combine in my head, what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay, the statistics that we have, the number, I'm getting a little bit of bonus points on the under here. So for me, and then add in that is the first game of the year. I don't hate the under here. So for me, that's where I would go there. This completion total, right? 25.5 is a lot. All right. And my assumption is that even though we're in LA, whatever, like I think that Buffalo is going to kind of have their way with the Rams here at times. I don't think we're going to see Allen have to throw it 35, 36, 37 times. And even if he does, I don't know that he is going to be that efficient against this secondary. So for me, I like the under. Another thing that you can do when you're looking at these props is to, obviously we don't have a projection on completions, but what I can do is I can go and look at other books, right? So other sites like DraftKings and FanDuel, and I look at their sports books and say, okay, what do they have, right? What are they doing? What are they saying for, these bets, right? So over 23.5 is where we're at for Allen. So that gives me, that number is right. And typically on these props, you're looking at on a sports book, they're going to say, hey, this is, about median, right? So over 23.5 is slightly favored, which tells me that this one's really close. All right. So if I was building a lineup right now, what I would do is that this would be one that I would come back to. Okay. I would not necessarily be on this one right away. All right. But I can tell you right now that Devin Singletary over 0.5 total rush TDs. I am taking the under and the 120 points on that all day. So here's the deal with Singletary, right? I think I'm under on the rush yards too. We project him at, if we go back to the research station, I am looking at Singletary at like 47.6, but this is against the Rams. They are the third best run against the run last year. And I think that Zach Moss is still sitting there. People talk a lot about James Cook, and I think that James Cook is going to get some snaps. They're going to try to get him involved. But if Zach Moss is healthy and he is in the lineup, like this is going to go under all day, right? Tough to run against the Rams. And Devin Singletary, I just got a little secret for you guys. He's not very good. Okay. So for me, like under, like I'll take the points on the rush TD, right? I got him projected at 0.35. Like he is, I just have no interest in Devin Singletary here. Stephon Diggs, okay, 74.5. I like the over here. We project him at 77, and I'm going to show you guys something here in a second. Actually, yeah, I'll show you in a little bit, but what Thrive does is they have props. They have house props where you can go in and just build like a 3-man prop that pays out 5.4x. But they have Diggs all the way in the 60s here. So that would tell me that I likely should go the under, but I tell you what, I think that Diggsy Cat's going to get her going here. I have Jalen Ramsey, whatever. I don't care. I like the over. I think that there's leverage to be had in betting this under on receptions. But we project him at 6.6. So it's hard to not go over here. But again, we need to build a total lineup, right? So if you look at the bottom here, my head's probably in the way. Let me move my head here so that you can see. Let me kick myself out to the side. So if you look at the bottom here, you can see that you get the maximum number of points. So ideally what we want is, I always just try to 10x, right? So we know that the average 50-50 line here is 100 to 100. I want to be around 1,000, right? Underneath is fine. I think that likely, as long as things don't go super chalky, we're looking at, the guy that wins 15,000 is probably going to be around 975, 945, 950, somewhere in there. All right. So you can play some of these 75 pointers, right? You can get there with that. But you want to try to maximize the most that you can. And what I'll do is I'll build a couple of lineups, right? So I'll build a lineup that is, all the max points, and then I'll build a lineup that seems like fairly safe. And a lot of times it seems to be that the ones that I build that are fairly safe end up kind of coming in clutch towards the end of the, those are the ones that seem to be climbing at the end. And here's the other thing. You can't look at these at the leaderboard early in the contest when you're playing on Thrive Fantasy because, right, like if I bet the points for Diggs at 4.5 total receptions and I have the unders, I get those points right away. So right away, I'm getting 125 points. But once he goes over, those get taken away. So the leaderboard really swings as guys hit these props. Keeping going on the Bills here. Try to get this thing going. Davis, I think that Davis is going to be a heavy part of this offense. He's weirdly the second most likely to score. He's more, according to some sports books, he is more likely to score a touchdown than Stephon Diggs. So I love the over. I think that's a good leverage play. Knox 5.5. I'm on the under all day. We project him at 3.3, but again, we're only looking at 75 points. Bass over 5.5 total points. I kind of love this in the first game of the season because I don't know that people are going to be super aggressive. We talked about how the teams are not quite there yet. But I like Bass quite a bit at 5.5 total points. He didn't hit this a ton last year. He hit it more at the beginning of the year, which sort of reinforces that point that I've had. Like I said, Stafford, the projection here is almost dead even at 284.5. I tend to favor the under just based on the Buffalo defense. So if I was going to go anywhere here, it would be on the under, but I think that's probably a no play for me. I don't think 4.5 total pass TDs and interceptions. He did this 3 times last year. I don't think that we are seeing that even against this offense. Cam Akers, 85.5. I'll take the under. I love Cam Akers. I think that he is a really, really, really good player. But this number is like 60 on other sites now, and that's where we about projected. We project him actually almost what? Let me see here. I think he's going to be under that. And I back from an Achilles so fast is so impressive. But yeah, I just don't see Akers, being the guy here. I think that he could get a TD, but there's so many guys that can vulture him. I'm going to take. Here's the deal: you just take overs on Cooper Kupp all the time. We project. I did say this, and I say that. We do project him at under 8.5, but my gut is telling me we're just going to go over. He was over 8.5 total receptions 9 times last year. We lose Robert Woods, which he was hurt last year too. But we lose OBJ. We get Allen Robinson and Van Jefferson's banged up. I think that Kupp could have like 13 or 14 receptions on Thursday night. Speaking of A-Rob, new addition here. We project him at 61.3, so I think the over is decent here. Look at right now. Okay, so we are down towards the bottom here. And here's the thing. These will be less owned, so maybe scroll down here right away. But right now I am at 10 picks, so that means that my maximum point total is 1,055. Gotta say, I kind of like that. All right. But now what they have is 2 ice pick. So an ice pick is in a case of emergency. Let's say for some reason, Cooper or Cam Akers doesn't play on Thursday, right? My number 1 ice pick wouldn't then replace this prop, right? So my ice, if I was going to take the over, you see that there, it says ice pick number 1. That gets me Allen Robinson in place of that Cam Akers one. If I have 2 guys that go out, or I have 2 props on a guy and he's not playing, then I get ice pick number 2. And that would be, Tyler Higbee. We project him at 4 receptions. I think this is a good spot for him, especially, like I said, if Van Jefferson, who isn't quite fully healthy yet, if he does not play, I am probably going Higbee there as well. A-Rob, I don't mind seeing A-Rob scoring in his first TD. Oh, I've exceeded the maximum number of props. All right. I think they get A-Rob the ball quite a bit. I think people forget how good Allen Robinson is, last year notwithstanding. And then in this new offense, I think that A-Rob is going to be nasty. So let's see. I've got everything in here. If I click submit, boom, I am in. Pay now. Boom, I have successfully entered that contest. Okay, I talked about the props, right? Or the prop lobby. Okay, let's see if this loads for me here. Okay, and what you can do is a lot of these props look almost exactly the same, right? And that's because they are, just what they are props, right? So what you can do is you can do a 2-man prop, a 3-man prop, a 4-man prop, or a 5 propper, right? You have to have. So if you do a 2, it's got to be 1 Rams, 1 Buffalo. Okay. Okay. And then, you just if you get 2 right, you 3x your money. So you put $10 in, you get 36 back. Like, what a great deal. Love a good 2x2. You want to go 5x5? You can 20.5x your money. $10 and 205. That's insane, right? So I'm super on the under on Singletary. Love that. Oh, you got first half, second half too, by the way. None right now, but you can get first half, second half. What other ones? There was one that I really liked here. Knox. Oh, yeah, the Digsy Cat. I'm taking the over on that. So if I wanted to just go like, oh, but I couldn't do this, right? Because I got two of the same team. So I would need to find a number for another guy. What do I got Akers at? 72. Robinson. If I wanted to take the see, here's the thing. This 13.5 total reception yards, that doesn't seem like much, right? That doesn't seem like much, but man, the guy's gotta do it, right? Like, here's what I would say. Gosh, I like all of these. I like all of these. Okay, let's see what we got for Darrell Henderson. I'll go back to the NFL research station that we have. I can go to the running backs. Load up. Slow internet. Get the Thursday game only going here. And see what I've got for Darrell. I got him for 8.06 points. That's not bad on DK. So projections are 34.9 for Henderson. Currently, our projections don't have Zach Moss with anything. He's going to have something. So I could take the over there on Henderson. Higbee, 41.5 is that one that we want to look at. Oh, Cooper Kupp's getting 100 yards. Cooper Kupp is getting 100 yards, guys. Like, that is going to happen. So you click submit. You put how much you want to put into it. Boom. Done. And prop submitted successfully. Like, that's just a no-brainer. We have Cooper Kupp projected at, let me see here, 98.4. 7.42. Like, Cooper Kupp's going to get his. Like, I think that regression is coming for Cooper Kupp this year. Don't get me wrong. I think that regression is definitely coming for Cooper Kupp this year, but it ain't coming in week one. He's going over 100 yards here. Okay, so like I said, I would tell you my favorite prop in this one, and it's gonna start right away, I think, with Jalen Hurts. I love Hurts this week. I think that he's got a great matchup. I got to click all of these now. And I know that he gets it done with his legs, but we are projecting him for 231 pass yards. He completed 17.7 on average last year. Like, that's maybe my favorite. Okay. I think that Lamar Jackson's going to crush. I think that CMC is going to score. Like, are you kidding me? I think that, I think that the Vikings are going to beat the Pack this year, but I just don't know that. Let's see if there's a big one that we like. Oh, Chris Godwin in his first game back, 125 yards. Don't hate that. Zeke against Tampa. You can't run against Tampa, but I'm telling you right now that all this talk about Zeke not being, the guy, Tony Pollard getting in there, like, I love Zeke. I love Zeke this year. I think that he is going to have a big year. So this went way too long, you guys, but again, use that code ARMY. You get that deposit match of up to $200. You get a free contest ticket for a deposit of $50. Anything over $100, you get 2 free contest tickets. Come join us. If you want to join DFS Army, hit me up, DFSUpNorth on Twitter. You can use the code UpNorth. That gets you 10% off for life. If you are watching this, you are a DFS Army VIP. You're watching this on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, comment. Love. You got any questions? Hit me up there. I will be quick to respond there as well. But I love Thrive Fantasy. This is one of my favorite sites to play on. And you guys should be too. So we will see you in them Thrive streets, baby. Cheers. Have a great week. Week 1. We are back, baby. Let's go.